All right, everyone, how's it going? And so I actually have a little bit of uh, something to come clear on. So I just gave the talk and I forgot to hit the go live button up in the right. And so I literally just went all through this and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, like you messed up, you did all this stuff. And, like three things came across my mind. I was like embarrassed. I was, kind of like, man, that was like kind of like a Bobo move, but I've never gone live before. And then the second part is like I don't want to just redo it all over again. And then the third part of me is like, why not just own up to it and just go again anyways? So we're gonna do that. So thank you for coming. Just remember that if you are watching live, I'm going live through StreamYard, so you'll need to leave, you'll have to go to StreamYard.com and then you can connect your Facebook account and then I can see if you leave a comment. And you know what, we'll hop right into this. And so I'm gonna share my notes here that I made some fun notes. And so, yeah, so we'll get started. So here we have, here it is. So beginner's mind. We're talking, so the term is Shoshin. It's the Japanese term for beginner's mind. And then this is the quote where it comes from. So in the beginner's mind, there are endless possibilities. In the experts, there are few. And that's from Shunryu Suzuki, and he wrote, there's a book by the same name, Beginner's Mind. So beginner's mind, Shoshin, which equals Zen mind. And then, so see, Zen mind is one of those enigmatic phrases used by Zen teachers to make you notice yourself, to go beyond words and wonder what your own mind and being are. This is the purpose of all of Zen teaching, to make you wonder and to answer that wondering with the deepest expression of your own nature. And so that's our beginning, right? That's our beginning. That's what we're looking at, this beginner's mind where we, really just, that's what we're getting down to. It's to make you wonder and to answer that wondering with the deepest expression of your own nature. And so we'll come down here. And so, one, you were born completely free. You were born with a radiant and spontaneous mind. It's like when you're a child and just everything is this like wonder and it's bigger than life and everything's like twinkling and rainbows and unicorns and all this stuff. That's this radiant, spontaneous mind that we originally are given, right? And so in growing up, our thinking was shaped by society, its hopes, fears, and dreams. And then somewhere along the way of us growing up, it became separated from this original mind. And so, and that's the mind that you had when you were younger. And so keeping a beginner's mind is a way to safely disentangle yourself from this separation and to regain your original mind. And to give you an idea of like this original mind, like the number one movie in the whole world, hands down, Citizen Kane, its main premise is, like when he sees the wagon at the end, that's all he ever wanted to go back to. He did all of these things in life, had this huge house, all this stuff. And the most important thing for him was, being a child, that freedom that he had when he was a child with his wagon. And so that's what, keeping this beginner's mind takes you back to. And so why do we have troubles in our lives now? We have troubles in our lives now because we have lost this radiant, empty, ready to see life unclouded by preconceived notions, judgments, and criticisms mind. Sometimes in a lot of Eastern traditions, the mind is referred to as a mirror with dust and dirt all over it. And by practicing meditation, mindfulness, yoga, martial arts, all these different things, they say that we polish this mirror. And eventually we return the mirror to its original splendor. And so right practice moment to moment. There's nowhere to go and nowhere to get to except right where you are. The only dimension to concern ourselves with is right here. Let me say that again. The only dimension to concern ourselves with is right here. No matter what we do to our human body, to our organism, no matter what we put into it, no matter like the medicine, like all these different things, it will always, try to return to its natural state, which is normal, everyday waking reality. You can put like waking reality. Walking, breathing, sitting, standing, meditating, the zazen or the lotus posture, these are like the four, they say the fifth one, the zazen one, incorporates everything, of course. But, we see this played out. So right practice, and so right above right practice is connected to the body. The right practice, the right way to sit, the right way to breathe, the right way to pay attention, all these different things. And then we have our right attitude, which is connected here down to feeling. So we have the right attitude towards our practices. We have the right attitudes towards ourself and how we, look at things, how we look at our practice, how we think about it, how we, handle when we have a rough day, how to handle when we have a great day, and it's learning to walk more along that middle line there. Where you're not so crazy excited that you're almost manic, and you're not so down that you're like depressed. That middle way, we think of middle as, usually we think of middle, like, especially in the West, as like sports, you're like the middle of the pack. You're not really good and you're not really bad. You're just kind of whatever, right? In life and everything, I think it would be a little bit safer to argue that, keeping that mentality, that competitive mentality is actually, you don't really need to be at the very, very top of the bottom. And so our original mind includes everything within itself. And so you should not lose your self-sufficient state of mind. This does not mean a closed mind, but actually an empty mind and a ready mind. If your mind is empty, it is always ready for anything. It is open to everything. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. When we first start practicing something, it is very fresh and alive. After 2, 3, 4 years of practice, it may not be so. It can be weeks or months even if you're trying to start something new. And so the idea is to keep this fresh, radiant, clear, open mind with us every moment of every day. And so when we start to practice something new, after, some time, we don't just get like bored with it or whatever. Really the only reason why you should leave a practice is if you practice it for a while and you feel that it's incomplete, that it doesn't have enough in it to take you all the way. And so, when we learn yoga, meditation, and mindfulness, we will exert great effort in an attempt to stop our thoughts, in an attempt to bottle up our thoughts, to, we think that we have to stop them because, they're all over the place, right? This is not the best use of our energy. Thoughts don't really stop as much as they slow down and can be given another direction. You see that it then becomes a choice, and you realize that it was always a choice. You were just most awfully making the choices of your thoughts unconsciously. And a little S there. I like to think of, like meditation. If you're gonna, like, when we're going to slow down things, I like the idea of like thinking of like a dam, where a dam will stop like the major flow of water, but there's always a release, so like you see like a huge dam, there's a release, and there may be like a door down below and water comes out, or it's pumped out through another direction heading towards another city or town. And so this release, I like to think this can be thought of as your ability to focus the power of your mind. You're able to like slow down the thoughts, and you've got this little buildup of energy, and then you give it like a light to shine out from. And so you focus the light of your awareness, much like a flashlight, directly illuminating what you're wanting to work on. And it's not like a big wide beam that like lights up the whole room, but you can't really see specifics. This is more about tightening the beam, a little bit more like this as opposed to like this. Both are like important, but it's being able to, like shrink in and focus and then like slowly come back out and relax and then take in more of your surroundings. Sometimes we just sit around like this. You see people on their phone like this, and 10 years from now, their necks may not feel so good. I don't know, all of ours probably included. But so the idea is not to stop all thought completely, as this disrupts the flow of energy and goes against the nature of the working of the mind. The idea is to take into account what's going on in the moment of your thought process. And if needed, changing the course of your thought patterns. Obviously, choosing more positive, healthy thoughts to continue the day with. And, I've got the little question there. Maybe there is something to positive affirmations, thinking, and visualizations. I really, I like to think of this idea. If you've seen the movie Inception, when he goes into the dreams and the deeper and deeper dreams he goes to, he takes his little like spinner, right? It's his reminder that he's dreaming. He spins it, and it spins, it just stays there. And he's like, okay, grab it. And so in life, a lot of times what I do is, I'll hang out with my nieces, really most of the time it's my dog. It's my dog, Callie. She's a little, she looks like a Shih Tzu. She's like a Maltipoo. And she's like this little ball, like of radiating like love energy. It's just unconditional love. And so whenever, say if I'm driving and I have, like some negative thoughts or, something's going on, someone said something, whatever it may be, I'll think of her and I'll think of, taking her on a walk, running around with her, getting her a treat, doing all these things. And instantly, like I start to feel better. And so I do feel that like when you can slow your mind down and catch what you're actually thinking, then you can make a decision to just like, you can stop on a dime. Boom, off you go. One of the coolest books still that I've read was Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor's. It's My Stroke of Insight. And she had a stroke years ago, and she's a neuroanatomist, a brain surgeon or not a brain surgeon, sorry, a neuroanatomist at Harvard. And what she says about the mind is that when something like upsets you, like your nervous system, your mind, when something upsets you, it takes 90 seconds for that to run through your system. 90 seconds. 90 seconds, and that whole like either adrenaline dump, the dopamine hit, whatever it is, it dissipates. And so anytime you spend after that thinking about the situation, the remarks, whatever it was, that's a choice. 90 seconds, so how many times has something happened to you and then beyond 90 seconds, it's still, running around in there. So the Zen of everyday language. So what really, amazes me about like Zen and yoga and all these different things is when I'm listening to people speak just in everyday life. When people are just being themselves, they're thinking positively about something, Zen ideals and processes of thinking will just naturally emerge. A good word in English which comes to mind is carefree. Carefree is free from anxiety or responsibility. And how this relates to the mind is when the mind is carefree, it's free from incessant patterns of tension creating thoughts. It's free of that, that anxiety when it's like two conflicting thoughts about something. Oh, I want to go here, but not just yet. Oh, I should wear red, but maybe not. Oh, maybe she likes me. Oh no, she doesn't. We tell ourselves these two conflicting things, and then eventually we just end up in a, and that's where, breathing, mindfulness come in. You can try One of my favorite things is the 3 deep breaths. You just take one big deep breath. We can try it. We can try it, right? You want to try it? You can sit up straight. We got a little bit of time. And so you can sit up straight. And so take a big deep breath in. And you just inhale in. And as you breathe in, see how I'm thinking more outward with my lungs, not up. So when we keep our attention about the area of the heart, it doesn't excite any up higher, like the mind and everything. And now exhale. And the next one, you can close your mouth, try in through the nose, out through the nose. That's even more. And we're going to try and make the breath just nice and thin. So inhale. Slight pause at the top. Exhale. Long, fine, thin. We can try another one. I should have done this in the beginning, right? So one more. Inhale in. Really feel right about the area of the solar plexus, right here behind the heart. And then exhale. You can feel yourself really start to relax. And then if you can continue on this breathing for another 10 to 15 minutes, whatever was really bothering you is just going to disappear. It's like having like a blanket to like throw over your anger and just smothers it. It's another energy that's, and I don't know if I'd really say, well, it's opposite in a way that it counteracts anger. So like mindfulness is this meditative breathing, and it's just slowing your inhale and exhale, breathing really big in through your heart, because it's your heart that's really kind of having a tough time. And so you can feel when you inhale up really hard, it might kind of shake a little bit, and then you exhale it out. And then the next one, it shakes a little less, and the third one, it should be mostly all gone. Right? And so now that we've got this with mellow of our body, we can see that Zen is freeing the mind from self-criticism, self-judgment, and complaints. And what's, really great about all these things about keeping a beginner's mind, the greatest thing about it is that you've had a lifetime to muddy it up. You've had a lifetime to like screw everything up, which is good, because there are no fish in perfectly clean water. We can repeat that one. You've had a lifetime to muddy it up, which is good. There are no fish in perfectly clean water. And so that's the type of attitude. That type of attitude will inspire you to sit. It'll inspire you to breathe. It'll inspire you to go to yoga class. It'll inspire you, like mindful breathing, that like inhale, slight pause, exhale, pause, that can be done walking across the room. It can be done walking to the mailbox. It can be done walking to your car, walking into the store, walking around the store. I mean, anywhere you go, you can practice this. And, I encourage you to go to the grocery store and walk around the grocery store, practice mindful breathing, and just see how people respond to you. See how your energy changes. See how your smile changes. See how you become this calmer person, and then everyone around you becomes a little bit calmer. It's like you become this radiating light to everyone around, as opposed to, as opposed to you responding and reacting to everything, it's people responding and acting to you. And when you're able to bring your breath and your mind and your feelings, emotions, when you're able to bring everything more into control, it just helps everyone around you. So that's in keeping the beginner's mind, because you keep this energy of, it's like a light wonder, awe, interest, curiosity. You may meet someone and you'll be like, no, I'm really curious. And it's not just asking a question to ask a question. Like, people can tell when you give a compliment and you didn't really mean it. you know. I mean, I remember for a while I was just trying to going around and like giving people like, I was trying to practice this, like random compliments and stuff, and I could literally like, I could see the look in their eye when I would like say something, and it only really happened once where I wasn't like super like convinced of it, but I told someone I liked something they did anyways, and they're, and they say thank you, but there's this little like tinge in their eye, like they don't quite believe you, but no one's gonna say anything socially. It's not like the most polite thing to do. And so people can feel this, and when you're able to lessen your self-criticism, your self-judgment, your complaints about everything going on, you're able to more positively influence everything that's going on around you, and you become more enjoyable to be around. And so you know using this style of talking, I used one like Japanese phrase. And I don't think there's many words in here that are very like difficult quite to understand. And that's part of the point of this. This is an ancient way of teaching using the simplest language in the situations of everyday life. That's why I was saying there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to get to. There's, they say a lot of it is, it's like mind illusion. It's just mind stuff. The fifth dimension of all this halo stuff, and there's these, blues and grays and this and that, and not to discredit it, not that the stuff couldn't possibly exist. I'm sure it exists in the mind, and that's why they call it mind illusion, because it's on your way up to these things. It's like normal life. You pass through a little bit higher, and then you get above that stuff. It's like being in a plane and you just fly up to like cruising altitude. That's what I would say more like a beginner's mind is. You fly up to the cruising altitude, and everyone else is down in the clouds, and there's storm and hail and rain and lightning and turbulence, and there's all this different stuff going on down there, and you're up at cruising altitude, cruising above others. So that's one of the, it's not like one of the, but that's like a definite difference of all this stuff. It's, I mean, there's many differences, not just one, but that's one of the main ones, is that, and you can see it like, people would tell you something completely different from what I told you. They'll think, but you need to learn this, and you have to do this thing and sign up for this thing. I don't think anyone needs any other nonsense than what's going on in everyday reality in order to get healthier and better, in order to help free their mind from, all the conditioning that's been through, not knowing who you really are. I don't think we need any more confusion than just trying to make it through everyday life, and are, focusing on relationships that we care about, friendships, family, loved ones, even just like strangers. Is it so bad to like, like just want to be nice to strangers? Not like overly nice, but just like walking down the street and giving a smile is what I'm more referring to. You just walk past someone, you just kind of give them a smile, and they're like, oh, he just smiled at me. And you're like, yeah, I did. Even for why? I don't know. No reason. It just, maybe it seemed like you could use one. And so, and this is something that and this one's said by Shinraigo, but especially in like the Eastern arts, I know Shinraizo, the Zen guys they do this a lot. And there's another Matsusashi. That's I was seeing Matsurimoto, but it's Matsusashi. He was one of the greatest samurais in the world. And he had 60 duels and 60 wins. If you don't win, you don't duel again. If you catch. And he was fond of saying things like this too. But so this is from him. He said, "This is also the real secret of the arts. Always be a beginner. Be very, very careful about this point. If you start to practice zazen, which is seated meditation, you will begin to appreciate your beginner's mind. It is the secret of Zen practice, yoga practice, mindfulness practice. This is the real secret of the arts. And he says like arts plural is not, that was meant on very much on purpose, where he's talking about, because he's a teacher, Zen teacher, but what he's saying is that the real secret of all of them is to always be a beginner. And you, especially in like Eastern arts and stuff, they'll say that after the first 5 years, they'll say, "Oh, wonderful, you're just ready to begin training." And you're like, after 5 years, like, I'm just ready to begin? And they're like, yeah, you've just like mellowed out enough that we can really teach you some stuff. And so, keeping a beginner's mind, staying consistent, really, like living these ideals, it takes a little bit of mindset, like teaching. You have to have a good teacher. You need to practice what you learn. You need to experience what comes with your practice, and then you repeat. So, teaching, practice, enlightenment meaning that you were enlightened to some new information that you weren't previously in possession of. Okay, I lost the last one. And then, enlightenment is that you were involved with information that you weren't previously, you didn't previously have before, and then you repeat everything. And that's one of the things about being a beginner too, is that you're constantly like working, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to do a beginner thing." And you could be like, "Oh, well, I'm too good for that. I'll go to beginner class. I'd love to. I would love to like go into beginner class, and all I want to do is move in a certain way, but I've got to slow down because that's not what the teacher's showing." And I would do it just to mess with myself. And sometimes I liked it, and sometimes I was like, dude, I'm not doing that for like months, right? But it's always special when I do that, because it helps me to not forget where I came from, and like the effort that I put in. And, when I see people trying to do things that I used to, when I was learning years ago, like, it gives me like a special little, like I sit there and I'm like, oh yeah, you might be like a year off, but you'll get it. Or, I hope you really understand this part, It's those kinds of things. It's those simple things that, really, like, it's those simple small things that when added up over time that's what makes the difference, right? So this is like I love making. Canva is so much fun. Make these little images. And when I found the wizard hat, I was like, this is perfect. And we can go up to the top a little bit. I'll re-talk about this image because there's a lot of imagery in these and stuff. And so one thing that Zen is fond about is like the Zen master and the tiger. So like the Zen master sleeping on the back of the tiger. And what that really is like referring to is that you get so mellow after a while, and your energy is so like wonderful to be around, that you could literally sleep on the back of the tiger, and the tiger wouldn't want you to leave. Like, you'd get up to go and he would like nuzzle against your leg, not wanting you to leave. But you're also like fierce like one too. Like, you could shoot someone one look and it's just going to go directly to their soul. And this is why one of the reasons, if you make anything, for like if you're like an entrepreneur, you do stuff for work, you just like to have fun, like Canva is super cool. You literally just you search whatever you think. I typed in magic and tiger, and I got that. Put them together. And then the fish, again, are another symbol of the Eastern arts, and they actually more resemble the yin-yang symbol. And so the fish are constantly swimming and moving. They're constantly moving around. And here, what happens is, so you have these two fish, the white one and the black one, right? And so it comes here, there we go, and around. Oh. We go down. Ooh, see? And so we cut through the center. And so what we don't see is that there's a figure 8 in through the center there. And so we have here, right? Oh. Go around. It's a little bit harder to do this. I can do this with my hands much better. Let's see, we come around and then we can turn through the center. And keep moving, right? Super cool. That's where the fish and the yin yang symbol, you're constantly able to turn and move and switch back and forth at any direction that you wish. So again, thank you guys for coming. This was really fun to share things that, you know, I enjoy and everything. And I look forward to, this is my first one. And so I do look forward to doing other ones with you guys. And yeah, just having a good time with this. So thank you so much. And I'll see you again soon. See you later.